In the middle of a dense, sprawling forest stood a tall tower. Suddenly, sparks began falling from the tower onto the ground. As soon as they landed on the dry leaves, flames erupted, and within moments, that small fire started spreading throughout the entire forest. On the other side of the forest stood an old wooden house. A woman named Mara lived there with her young daughter Linda. Today, they had guests. Mara's brother-in-law Louis, his wife Elena, and their son Danny had come to visit. The truth was, Mara had been living in the city for quite some time, and now wanted to sell this forest house. She had come here today to collect her important belongings, so she could finally cut ties with this place forever. Some time ago, Mara's husband had died in this very house. That tragedy had made it impossible for her to continue living there. Every wall and every room reminded her of him, and she wanted to sell the house and move on with her life at any cost. While packing her late husband's clothes, Elena said, "We should take these too. You can keep them as memories." But Mara refused immediately. She didn't want to take anything with her that would drag her back into that pain. Her coldness felt strange to Elena. Later, she told Louis, "Mara shouldn't erase all memories of her husband like this. Someday she's going to regret it." At lunchtime, everyone sat together eating. Danny said, "We shouldn't sell this house. Linda and I love coming here." That's when Linda spoke up and said, "We're selling this house because my dad died here." Hearing that, Mara quickly interrupted, "That's not true. We're selling this house so we can buy a new one near the beach." Just then, the doorbell rang. Their neighbor Santiago had arrived. He had brought a small gift for Linda. After giving it to her, he casually asked Mara, "Why is everyone packing?" Mara told him she was selling the house. The sadness on Santiago's face became obvious, but without saying anything else, he quietly left. A little while later, Linda looked outside excitedly and shouted that it was snowing. Everyone found it strange. Snow in the middle of summer? They stepped outside and saw white flakes falling from the sky like snow. But it wasn't snow. It was ash drifting from the forest fire. Their family was living in the very part of the forest where the wildfire was rapidly spreading, and by now it had already swallowed thousands of acres of land. Ash was floating all the way to their house. The moment Mara saw this, panic took over. She told everyone, "Pack everything immediately. We need to leave right now." While she was packing, Linda entered her room and insisted on going into the forest. Mara flatly refused. But when Linda kept arguing, Mara finally lost her temper and yelled at her. Hurt and angry, Linda walked away. She went into her room, opened her bag, placed a few photos of her dad inside, and quietly left the house alone. Linda made her way to an old cabin deep inside the forest. Back at the house, Mara and the others had almost finished packing. They were just about to leave when suddenly everyone realized something. Linda was missing. They searched the house and the surrounding area, but she was nowhere to be found. Just then, Santiago returned in his car. Mara rushed to him and asked, "Have you seen Linda?" Santiago told her he had seen Linda near the cabin a little while ago. Hearing this, Mara felt slightly relieved. She and Louis immediately ran toward the cabin. Inside, they found Linda's bag, but Linda herself was gone. Now real panic began. Mara and Louis searched the forest screaming Linda's name, but there was no answer and no sign of her anywhere. Time passed. Evening grew darker and night was approaching. Finally, Mara called the police. The officers arrived and questioned Mara about Linda, her age, clothes, habits, places she liked to go, and everything else. Then one officer clearly said, "The fire is spreading rapidly through the forest. You all need to evacuate. We'll take responsibility for finding your daughter." But Mara refused to leave without Linda under any circumstances. The police continued with their procedures, and a search team was sent into the forest. As night deepened, Mara's anxiety kept growing. Thinking about Linda was destroying her emotionally. She broke down and said, "I know this house is cursed for me. First it took my husband away from me, and now it wants to take my daughter too." At that moment, Louis received a call from a police officer. He explained that the wind had changed direction, and thick smoke was now filling this part of the forest. Breathing in the smoke had become extremely dangerous, so the search operation had to be stopped temporarily. Hearing this made Mara panic even more. Louis realized they couldn't just sit around depending on the system anymore. He came up with a plan. "We'll have to go into the forest ourselves and find Linda." Mara agreed that instead of waiting helplessly for the police, they needed to take action themselves. She went to Santiago's house to ask for his car so they could search the forest. Santiago agreed to lend the car and even offered to come along himself. But after everything that had happened, Mara had already started suspecting him. Right there, she asked, "Can I look inside your house? Maybe Linda is hiding somewhere in there and you just don't know it." Santiago hesitated at first, but eventually allowed Mara and Louis inside. Mara searched the entire house thoroughly. She checked almost every room, except for one room that was locked. When she asked Santiago to open it, he refused. His hesitation made Mara even more suspicious. Meanwhile, Mara noticed Santiago preparing some kind of medicine inside the house. Glass bottles, powders, herbs, mushrooms. Seeing all this immediately triggered alarm bells in her mind. "What is all this?" she demanded. Santiago tried explaining. "I collect mushrooms and herbs from the forest and make medicine from them. They help illnesses normal medicine can't cure." But neither Mara nor Louis believed him. Instead of easing their suspicion, his explanation only made them more suspicious. Eventually, they returned home completely convinced that Santiago was behind Linda's disappearance. Then Mara looked out the window and noticed Santiago driving away somewhere. She and Louis rushed outside to stop him. "Where are you going?" Mara asked directly. "To search for Linda in the forest," Santiago replied. Immediately, Mara and Louis got into the car with him. But just then, Santiago remembered they would need flashlights once it got darker. He stepped out of the car and headed back toward the house to get them. The moment he left, Mara and Louis noticed something inside the car. Linda's bracelet. The sight of it shocked them completely. When Santiago returned with the flashlights, Mara instantly held up the bracelet and demanded, "How did this end up in your car?" Trying to remain calm, Santiago said, "When I met Linda near the cabin, she gave it to me herself." But this explanation disturbed Mara even more. Almost screaming, she said, "Linda never gave that bracelet to anyone. Why would she give it to you?" Now she completely panicked. She became convinced that this was far more serious than a missing child case. Mara wanted only one thing now: to search Santiago's house again, and this time completely. She jumped out of the car, picked up a rock from the ground, and smashed his window with it. The glass shattered, and she stormed inside. Santiago rushed in after her in distress. This time, Mara wasn't stopping at questions. She pointed toward the locked room Santiago had refused to open earlier and demanded he unlock it. Louis joined in and pressured him as well. Unable to resist anymore, Santiago finally opened the room. Mara searched every corner, but Linda was nowhere inside. Then she noticed another door leading into a smaller room. She opened that too and went inside. Still nothing. Then she spotted a small trapdoor or cabinet-like hatch inside the room. Immediately, she thought maybe Linda was hidden inside it. She forced Santiago to open that too. Terrified, Santiago opened the hatch. Mara got on her knees and crawled inside. But there was nothing there except emptiness. In a tired and frustrated voice, Santiago said, "I already told you Linda isn't here." Just then, Mara noticed a shovel in the room with dirt stuck to its blade. Nearby were Santiago's boots covered in wet mud. Picking up the shovel, she confronted him. "What is this?" Now the worst possible suspicion had formed in her mind. Had Santiago done something horrible to Linda and buried her in the forest? Santiago tried explaining. "I perform different kinds of rituals. Rituals connected to rebirth. That's what this is for." But hearing this only made the situation worse. Santiago suddenly tried to run, but Mara and Louis caught him. They tied him to a chair. Louis snatched his phone and tortured him, demanding the password. Mara couldn't bear watching it and walked out of the room. Her mental state was already shattered. After some time, Louis came out and said he had gotten the password. Mara went back to Santiago and asked one final time about her daughter. But Santiago's story remained the same. I saw Linda outside the cabin. I told her to come home with me, but she refused. I thought she just wanted to spend more time there, so I came back alone. That's all I know. Meanwhile, Luis started watching videos on Santiago's phone. In one video, Santiago was clearly seen digging a hole in the ground at night, like a grave. Luis felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. Now their suspicions almost felt like certainty. Had he dug that grave for Linda? Holding the phone, Luis walked outside and found the exact same spot from the video beside the house. Freshly dug soil, same location. He grabbed the shovel and immediately started digging. Soon, Mara and Elena joined him. The moment Mara saw the hole, her heart nearly stopped. She felt certain that whatever was buried there would be her daughter. Luis kept digging faster and faster. Finally, the hole became deep enough to clearly reveal what was inside. But there was no dead body. Instead, strange ritual items, symbols, bottles, and objects were buried there. Everyone stood frozen in shock. At least one thing was now clear. Whatever Santiago had been doing looked terrifying, but Linda was not buried there. Mara's anger eased slightly, but her fear remained alive. Because the question was still the same. Where was Linda? By now, the fire was no longer limited to the forest. It was moving toward Mara's house too. Time was running out. The air was filled with smoke, ash, and heat. The truth was, while Linda had been alone at the cabin earlier, Santiago had happened to drive past in his car. He saw Linda near the cabin, stopped, and asked, "What are you doing here?" Linda explained that she had come to leave some photos of her dad there and say goodbye to the place. By then, Santiago already knew about the wildfire. He told her, "Come home, it's not safe here." But Linda stubbornly refused. "Not yet. I want to properly say goodbye to this cabin." After talking to her for a while, Santiago realized Linda was angry with her mother. She was hurt because her mom had yelled at her and hadn't come with her to say goodbye to her dad one last time. In anger, Linda removed her bracelet and handed it to Santiago. "You keep it. I don't need it anymore." Santiago took the bracelet, got into his car, and drove away. So everything he had told Mara and Luis about Linda giving him the bracelet herself was true. He hadn't kidnapped her or locked her up anywhere. Everyone was still standing near the dug-up hole when Danny entered Santiago's house. He couldn't find his parents, but he did see Santiago tied to a chair. Seeing Danny, Santiago said, "Your mom and dad think I kidnapped Linda, but I didn't. I want to help you. If you untie me, we can search the forest together. I know every inch of this forest." Danny believed him and untied the ropes. But just as Santiago was about to leave, Mara appeared at the door and immediately locked the room from the outside, even though Danny was still inside. Danny screamed for help. Luis heard him and came running in anger. His son was trapped inside with the man they already suspected. "Open the cabin right now!" Luis shouted, but Mara refused. Finally, Luis forcefully snatched the key from her and unlocked the door. The moment it opened, he saw Santiago holding Danny with a sharp object in his hand, using him like a shield. Santiago warned Luis to stay back. Then he took Danny outside and headed toward his car. He demanded the car keys. But Mara, Luis, and Elena lied and claimed they didn't have them because they feared that if Santiago escaped, they might never find Linda. Then Santiago noticed the keys were already inside the car. He put Danny into the car and sped away. After driving some distance, he stopped and told Danny to get out. At that moment, Luis caught up with them. Elena pulled Danny toward herself while Luis exploded with rage at Santiago. Without thinking, he started beating him violently. Santiago tried defending himself. He shoved Luis away and even grabbed his throat for a few seconds, but immediately let go because he genuinely didn't want to kill him. But Luis seemed possessed. He attacked Santiago again, raining punches down on him until Santiago's face was covered in blood. Even after such brutal beating, Santiago kept saying only one thing: "I know where Linda is." Hearing this, Mara stopped Luis immediately. Now the only thing that mattered was their daughter. Santiago told them Linda was still in the forest. Luis made a quick decision. He sent Elena and Danny back toward the city. You two leave first. Mara and I will go with Santiago and find Linda." Now Mara, Luis, and Santiago headed into the forest surrounded by fire. Santiago led them toward the area closest to the flames. Smoke filled everything. Breathing became difficult, and visibility was almost zero. In the middle of all that chaos, Santiago saw an opportunity. He shoved Luis away and disappeared into the smoke. Mara and Luis shouted his name and searched everywhere, but the thick smoke made it impossible to see anything. Meanwhile, Santiago was trying to keep away from them when suddenly he heard a scream. Linda's scream. He immediately ran toward the sound and reached a deep pit. Looking down, he saw Linda trapped inside it. Santiago reached his hand down, but the distance was too great. So he grabbed a long wooden branch nearby, lowered it into the pit, and shouted, "Grab it!" Using all her strength, Linda grabbed the branch. Santiago pulled her out with both hands. Just seconds after climbing out, Linda collapsed unconscious. Her lungs were filled with smoke, and her body was struggling for oxygen. At that exact moment, Mara arrived. The sight she saw, her unconscious daughter lying beside Santiago, instantly made her imagine the worst. Without thinking for even a second, she attacked him. Consumed by rage, fear, and pain, she beat Santiago mercilessly until he too fell unconscious. Mara picked up Linda and carried her away from the fire and smoke. After some distance, Linda regained consciousness. Mara immediately asked, "Did Santiago try to hurt you?" In a weak voice, Linda replied, "No, he saved my life." She explained that after leaving the cabin, a bear had chased her, and while running away, she had fallen into the pit. Then Santiago arrived and rescued her. Hearing this made Mara's mind go numb. She realized everything she had believed about Santiago was wrong. Everything he had said was true. Shame, guilt, and relief all appeared on her face at once. Soon Luis arrived too, and felt relieved seeing Linda alive. Mara explained everything to him. Santiago didn't kidnap Linda. She fell into the pit while running from a bear. He saved her. Luis was stunned. Somehow, the three of them made it back to the car. Linda was placed inside so they could rush her to the hospital. But Mara still felt overwhelming guilt towards Santiago. Leaving Linda in the car, she went back into the burning forest once more to save him, because he was unconscious and the fire could reach him at any moment. When Luis returned to the car and realized Mara was gone, he drove Linda toward the main road alone. On the way, he spotted Santiago standing across the road trying to hitchhike. Luis looked at him for a few moments, but didn't stop. He drove away, leaving Santiago behind. Soon, another car arrived, and Santiago got a ride. A short while later, Luis reached the hospital with Linda. Doctors immediately started treating the smoke damage in her lungs. Soon after, Santiago was brought there too. His condition was also terrible. Bruises, blood, exhaustion. Doctors began treating him as well. During this time, police officers questioned Santiago about what had happened in the forest. Santiago knew that if he told the truth, Mara and Luis could end up in serious trouble. So he hid the truth and said, "I got lost because of the wildfire. Then a bear chased me. I ended up like this, trying to escape." He swallowed every injustice done to him and never mentioned Mara or Luis at all. Now the story shifts into a flashback. When Mara had returned to save Santiago from the forest, she dragged him away from the burning area. During that time, Santiago regained consciousness. Standing before him was the same woman who had nearly beaten him to death just a little while earlier. Angrily, he got up and walked toward her. Mara became frightened. Then, nearby, she noticed a mother bear wandering restlessly and desperately, just like Mara herself had been while searching for her daughter. The bear passed right beside Mara without harming her. It was as if nature itself was showing that a mother's pain is the same whether human or animal. Mara thought Santiago would now take revenge, but instead, he stepped forward and hugged her tightly. He understood that what Mara had done wasn't out of hatred, but out of desperate fear for her daughter. And now that same woman was trying to save his life. Without accusing her or arguing, Santiago quietly walked away. Soon afterward, firefighters and rescue teams arrived and safely evacuated Mara. Time passes. A few days later, Mara returns once again to her forest house. But this time, she hasn't come to sell it. She has decided to stay. Perhaps now this place no longer represents only pain, but also memories and lessons. A little later, there's a knock at the door. Standing outside is Santiago, holding a flower in his hand. Smiling softly, he says, "This flower is for Linda." Mara takes the flower, and for the first time, there is a genuine smile on her face. One thing is clear: Santiago never kept the cruelty of Mara and Louis in his heart. He had moved on. And it also felt like the bitterness between them had disappeared. Maybe someday, their relationship could finally be built on trust and understanding. Friends, if you liked this story, then like, share, and subscribe.